I'm John Kovach. I've been a newsman, a sports announcer, and a football coach, but the one constant, since I was old enough to stand next to a stream with my dad, has been fishing. I've waded rapids, stood on slick rocks, hacked through ice, and been tossed about the deck of a boat. And I want you to love fishing as much as I do, and join me on this journey. Welcome to Yankee Fisherman, presented by the Dock Shop. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Yankee Fisherman. This Thursday, June 29th, we are on the eve of the Independence Day weekend. If you're heading out there, be safe. There are going to be a lot of boats out. We're going to start right away with something that's regulatory, but it's going to affect a lot of people who fish the Long Island Sound. Jesse Roach, the host of Fishing Today on WICH Radio out of New London, WICH.com, joining us by phone. Jesse, thanks for joining us. You were at the hearing the other night on the new Blackfish regulations.
Hi, John. Yes, thanks for having me. Well, before I begin, I would like to say be very careful. Even today, there's going to be maybe 10 to 20 mile-an-hour winds out of the southwest, which is not a good time, especially with fighting the tide. Yesterday, we were out off Guilford, and I swear there were 6 to 8 footers we were in, and it wasn't a good time, so do be careful if you're heading out today.
Well, it sounds like it hasn't gone down from Saturday, because I was hearing up to 12 foot on Saturday from the anglers who were out on the Fancy Fluke tournament out of New London.
I wouldn't be surprised, and I do believe there's actually a small craft advisory in effect Thursday through Friday. I'd have to double-check that, but definitely something to be aware of if you're an inlander heading down to the Sound and you're not used to it. You know, there are just some factors you really want to be aware of before you head out, especially on a personal watercraft like a kayak.
Definitely something we really need to focus on, and given recent tragedies down here in the western part of the Sound, something you can't really overemphasize. Now, they had a hearing on Blackfish regulations on Monday night. That was at the DEEP building up in Old Lyme. Jesse, you were there. What was the atmosphere like?
It was heated. There was even people that took the ferry over from New York to make sure they got their licks in, not only from the New York meetings, but also the Connecticut meetings. There are a lot of opinions. I think data collection was the main stinger, and really the divider between the data collectors and the fishermen. And unfortunately, it's that caveat that kind of prevents decisions to be made for the choices that were offered. To go back to the history, unless you want to ask me anything else before I get into it.
No, I want start with the history, because it's such a long process. I think we need to start at the beginning.
It really is. Back in 1996, there was no management plan really for the Tautog, but I'm paraphrasing the ASMFC representative now. They basically stuck a reg on it for the sake of sticking a regulation on it, and I think that was at 14 inches. I'm not sure what the seasons were at that time. But they did not come up with a management plan for the species in the long term. So they kind of sat on it. They'd take a survey every once in a while, bump the regulations a little bit here and there, and kind of left it on its merry way. Then the fishery became very popular. There was an uptick in the population, but really since 1996, according to the data, the population seemed to be decreasing at this time, and over even the long term since maybe the 2000s. So now, leading up to where we are now, where there are more recent surveys have found a steady decline, and that's due to many different factors. They were talking about the rockhopper draggers maybe running over mussel beds. There's also wreck recovery that is destroying blackfish natural habitat. So, and then there's the other end of it, which is pollution, which unfortunately the fishery department doesn't really have much of a say in. And then you can even look at the economic impact, which really has also been neglected to be looked at as far as charter boats and everyone else involved. But so it brings us to now, and they've realized there's this big decline for a caveat of different reasons. And so basically now they're saying the ASMFC, which is the only governing regional body other than NOAA. NOAA is obviously the big dog in the decision making, but ASMFC is the other governing regional representation. Myself, I'm involved with the New England Fishery Management Council and the Recreational Advisory Panel, but we can make recommendations and we can vote on draft amendments, but we really don't have the governance as the ASMFC does. So the ASMFC is asking for a 47.2% reduction. Now, how we get to that, they're asking for three different things. Really, they want to go back and amend the 1996 resolutions or the plans that they had for the tautog, and they want to modify it to make it a studied, managed species officially, and put the language in the 1996 Accord. So that's the first thing they were asking. The second thing they're asking is, what is the time frame on this? How long do we want in order to implement the 47.2% reduction? A 10-year, 5-year, 3-year, even 1 year, where the tautog don't age, or they don't grow very quickly. They're slow-growing fish, so 1 to 3 years is probably not likely. More of a 5 to 10 would be. And the longer you stretch the 47.2% reduction, the less of a hit it will be, per se, on the regulation. So then there's the regulations, which vary from a slot limit to getting rid of the spring and summer seasons, to upping the inches, to reducing the catch to 1. The commercial guys would also be affected by the regulatory options. And then really it becomes, the critical part is how long are they going to take for the 47.2% reduction. And if they go to 10 years, it'll be less of an impact on the fishermen. So really that's the big question mark. And then once everything was done, the commenting began, and people were really so up in arms about it. They really weren't voting per se or opting for any of the options. They were just voicing their dismay in the data collection, and basically said we want to stay status quo, and kind of avoided the options. And so it more and more becomes up to the ASMFC, our fate, where I think as a crowd we probably could have taken the decision-making, or at least Connecticut's offering to the decision-making. It could have been more in our favor, at least with how the 47.2 reduction would be if people had taken more of the time to discuss the options versus really just opposing everything altogether.
And that's a problem that I think we see when they talk fishing regulations, be they inland or marine, all the time, is that rather than come up with an educated opinion and choose an option, there's this hue and cry for status quo that you've already been told up front is not sustainable and is not going to be on the table. And then instead of having a voice in the solution, anglers create a lot of static and very little input, and I'm afraid maybe that's going to be the case again.
Well, I kind of feel the feeling, or at least the morale of the fishermen is this. They really think by the time it gets to Washington, what they say doesn't really matter, and these hearings are just a formality to appease the process. And this is because these are commercial guys, charter guys that have been going to these meetings for years and years and years, and it seems to be the result every time. So obviously everyone has their own interest in hand. I mean, we're talking hundreds of millions of dollars of, fishing industry here in the state. So it affects a lot of people. And if you do reduce trips and charters for, say, Blackfish, and, we saw a reduction in Fluke, well, that's a lot less trips for these charter guys, and it could also mean the jobs for deckhands. So in the governing end of it, at least for me and the Recreational Advisory Panel, we try to take all that into consideration. And then when the reduction has to come down, and unfortunately we can't tell NOAA to take their regulation back, so you kind of have to weigh it out and see who's going to lose the least amount of jobs, and what rec anglers are going to lose the least amount of vacation time in some of these lands like Connecticut and Massachusetts, Rhode Island, and New York, New Jersey, who enjoy the revenue from these tourists.
Is a slot limit probably the best answer? I think it's one that has been successful in other areas and with other species. It's the one that just on a personal level I see as the most palatable.
Well, the thing about Blackfish is the summer season hosts a big population of spear fishermen, and you are not going to be able to be underwater and determine what is 16 to 18 inches. If they are going to get rid of the summer season, well, maybe, it won't matter so much for the spear fishermen, but if you are going to keep the summer season, I think we really need to have a defined line between good and bad, and I don't think a slot would really work so well, at least for the spearfishing community. Now, I had commented to the ASM separate spearfishing regulation, maybe to solve this problem versus blindly fishing from the top water where you can release a fish. Now, the mortality rate, and this is important because the many other species, the mortality rate for live discards are about 30%. It's only about 2%, a little over 2% with the tautog. So that doesn't cut into, per se, the regulation, where as cod, as we saw up north, especially Gulf of Maine, the dead loss from live discards does heavily affect the regulation. So, I mean, a slot limit would work if everyone was on top of the water, but the thing, there's plenty of fishermen underwater, especially in the summer season for the tautog.
It really makes sense to me to have a separate regulation for spearfishing. That's even being discussed and isn't a foregone decision. Kind of escapes me. Is there still time to affect this?
Go ahead.
There's still time for anglers to affect this?
Well, yes, you can send your comments in, and they will go on the record. And I can tell you, as a Recreation Advisory Panel, we get a full packet of comments, so your comments are read by the board members and by everyone involved. There is you can go to the DEP website, and if you look at notices, and it'll say the tautog hearings, and there'll be a write-up on it, and it'll give you the email where you can send it in. You can even fax or mail it. And if you go to the Connecticut DEP and under fishing and go to notices, you'll see the tautog hearing notice, and you just click on that, and it'll give you all the information you need to send your comment in and make sure you're heard. And it is official. It's on the record. And if you couldn't make the meeting, or if you did make the meeting and you didn't get heard for the specific options and you want to make your case for some of these options, you can also do that by going there and emailing or faxing or just snail mail too.
And we'll put that link up on our site as well as soon as the show is over. Let's move away from the regulatory stuff, even though both of us are chest deep in it. And let's talk a little bit about some of the fun. You were up at Blackhall Outfitters for their Fluke Fest over the weekend. How did that go?
It was great. It was a great turnout. The weather was a little choppy, but people still made it out there, and the biggest boater had, I think, an 8-pound Fluke. My buddy Dan actually got second place with a 5-pounder on the boat division. And then my other friends, Jose Negron and Kristen Beer, won first and second. And the kayak competition with a 5-pounder for Jose, and big congratulations to everyone. And it was a great time, and we're also looking forward to Togtober a little later on in the fall for the tautog. And so that regulation won't be changed by then, so we can all get out for a good time with the regulations we're used to.
Yeah, we got that in front of that. That's Jeff Terrell was first place in the cash in the boat division, 8.88 pound. That's a big fish. Jose first in the kayaks, 5.22. Nice win for him. That 2017 Old Town Loon Angler. Got to like that.
Yes.
Dan Fogarty, 5.4 pounder. Some nice fish there.
Yeah, really nice fish, and the catches were spread out into the sound, from mid-sound to eastern sound, and so there's Fluke out there, as was proven in the tournament, and so I know they've had the reduction, and we've had a tough couple seasons for Fluke. Last year wasn't the greatest, but they are out there. It's spotty, but we're finding them, and we're finding keepers, and it's still a great fishery to get out there for.
And Jesse, fishing today on WICH and WICH.com. That is on Saturdays at 8:30 a.m. You've got a guest we both know coming up on Saturday?
Yes, Big Doug, and he's having a great tournament down there with A&W Marine, and a bunch of great folks got together, and they're putting this together for mid-July, and it's another year of that. A lot of people were involved last year, but this year it seems to be even bigger, and it is a charity-driven tournament, which I personally like about the whole thing. So, Yeah, on our show we're going to have Doug on, and we're going to talk about that, and we'll probably get into what happened at that meeting at the DEP, but I'm really looking forward to having Doug on with us.
And you can hear that at WICH radio. What are the numbers on that again?
1310 WICH. WICH is in eastern Connecticut, western Rhode Island listening area. So that would be terrestrially from 8:30 to 9 a.m. But then we put the show on demand, which you can find at WICH.com and on the Fishing Today page, which will be it was basically the recorded version of the show that aired live 8:30 to 9. And we're looking forward to some great stuff. We're going to get out there. I think you're going to enjoy me. You get out there with the NCON guys and see what they're up to. And looking forward to stuff like that. And we're going to keep our eye on safety and regulations. And we really want to bridge the gap between, the guessing of what's going on with our fishery to really getting an idea of what's going on and what we can do to get involved.
Yeah, the involvement's so important. And then one of these days, the two of us do have to fish. Would be nice to do that.
Yes. And one thing I'd like to encourage everyone to is to join the Recreational Volunteer Angler Survey Program. A lot of people criticize the numbers coming in and the gathering, but one way to really give them some solid numbers to work with is by joining the Volunteer Angler Survey Program, where they can get accurate numbers of what we're really doing out there, and it'll help them to regulate more fairly and with our participation, which I think is a key thing. And even if it's a zero catch day, put that down. If you have a limit catch day, put that down. And then at the end, you get your logbook back. So years down the road, you can take a look at that logbook and see historically what happened on that date and how the water temperature was and air temperature was, and maybe that'll help you along with your fishing into the future.
And now you got me thinking we have to work together on an angler science program. Jesse Roach, we got to get going. Fishing today on Saturday. Thanks for joining us on Yankee Fisherman, presented by the Dock Shop.
Hey, thanks for having me on, John. Have a great one.
We'll be back with more right after this.
School's out, the weather is hot, and the fish are biting. Whether you're heading to the beach or out on a boat, stop in at the Dock Shop before you go to fill your beach bag or tackle box with everything you'll need for fun in the sun. A new beach cover-up, some sunscreen, or just some bait, the Dock Shop has you covered from either location. 51 Tokenique Road, Darien, 609 Riverside Avenue, Westport. And yes, you heard that right. Bait is now available in Darien and Westport. The Dock Shop, 51 Tokenique Road, Darien, 609 Riverside Avenue, Westport. DockShop.com.
Celebrate summer with fresh made-to-order picnic boxes from Walter Stewart's Market. We have delicious summery selections from buttermilk fried chicken to grilled lemon chicken kebab, grilled shrimp Caesar salad wraps, or lobster salad rolls. Our easy-to-carry picnic boxes come with your choice of a meal, as well as a dessert, beverage, and utensils. Order online for simple pickup options. Walter Stewart's Market, 229 Elm Street, New Canaan, and online at stewartsmarket.com.
You don't have to go far for authentic Neapolitan cuisine and renowned wood-fire pizza. Pizzeria Loretano of Bethel is a contemporary Italian bistro, specializing in authentic wood-fired brick oven pizza Napolitana. Pizzeria Loretano was named one of America's top 1,000 Italian restaurants in 2008 by Zagat, and recommended by Jane and Michael Stern on National Public Radio's Splendid Table. Located close to the Bethel Cinema, we focus on quality, and our food is always made to order. Join us for live jazz Sundays from 6 to 8. Find our schedule, menu, and more at pizzerialoretano.com, and like us on Facebook.
Want a new experience in car buying? Scap Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram with one of the largest inventories of new 2- and 4-door Wranglers. We are Connecticut's Wrangler headquarters. Come visit our new Ram Truck Center. Browse our websites, scapchryslerjeep.com or scapdodge.net to find the new Jeep, Chrysler Dodge car, minivan, or Ram truck you've been looking for. Just 2 miles from both I-95 or the Merritt Parkway exit 44. Save thousands right now during the Drive and Discover event. Now through June 30th.
If you've ever thought about owning a motor coach or learning about what it's like to travel the open road in superior style and comfort, then contact Dave's RV Center in Danbury, Connecticut. Offering the best quality Class A motorhomes from Newmar, travel trailers and fifth wheel lines from Surveyor, and a toy hauler line from Work and Play. Choose from Newmar's Gas Line, Base Star and Canyon Star, or from Newmar's Diesel Line, Ventana and Dutch Star. And with unparalleled service and maintenance, Dave's RV is committed to keeping you and your motor coach safely on the road and enjoying it to the fullest. Stop by their showroom, 2 Industrial Plaza Road, Danbury, Connecticut, or call 877-483-3866. If you've ever
Back
thought
to
about
Yankee Fisherman, presented by the Dock Shop, this Thursday, June 29th. Enjoy the holiday weekend as that's coming up. Last Saturday, we returned to Burrs Marina in New London, the fancy Fluke Fishing Company holding its inaugural women's-only Fluke Fishing Tournament. Great turnout, great time. Let's take a look. Stephanie, the inaugural fancy Fluke Fishing Company women's-only Fluke Tournament. How many entries did you have?
We had 40, which is for us amazing. You know, we didn't even know if we would get 5. So to have 40 women come out from Rhode Island, Connecticut, and New York and participate with us is absolutely amazing.
And all ages represented. You had...
Yep, we have a youth category, which was 12 and under. And then we had our adult category for first and second place. We had, you know, I want to say ages 50 plus and, 12 and under. And it was phenomenal. We tried to cover the board as much as we could.
5-3. Nice. That's the leader now, right? So far. 4-9. All right. Hey, puppy. 3-6. Way off. I'm still in third.
3-6.
I'm in third. That was mine, Emma. That was mine. No, that was mine. That was mine. Win the fish. There you go, Em. 4. All right, Emily. There we go. 3 keepers.
I love you, Dad.
2.99. Almost 3 pounds.
2.99.
14. I got a bigger one. Yeah. Mine's bigger than yours.
All right, we got a nice big one coming up.
All right.
Doormat.
I love that. That's an awesome fish right there.
It is.
All right.
Remind me of your name? Alexa. Awesome. You're doing it with a
Man, that's a big fish.
Awesome.
Nice.
6 pieces. Ooh, can I touch you? Awesome. You are hot. Good job. Great.
Decent-sized fish came in, but I understand it was a rough morning and afternoon out there.
Absolutely. I myself personally was not on the water, but I've heard several stories from the area. We had a couple boats out and around Block Island battling tough waves. We had some friends out in Montauk that were battling rain and wind. And those who stayed local and fished around Fisher's Island had a ton of fog to cut through.
I've heard 12-foot seas in some spots. I've heard wind gusts up to 30 miles an hour, so not a day for the faint of heart out there.
Absolutely. These are definitely not fair weather fishermen. These are women who are in it to win it.
Decent-sized fish won almost 5 pounds.
The winning fish was 5 pounds 3 ounces. Second place was about 4.9, so some nice fish coming in.
Encouraged at seeing how many younger entries you had. You had a lot of kids here, a lot of kids with their mothers, which was nice to see.
Absolutely, it was really, really nice. We tried to cater to women and their families, so including children is really important to us. First place for our youth angler, weighing in at 4 pounds and 10 ounces, we have Alexa Pacherin.
So Alexa, how many years have you been fishing? 4 years? You're 7 years old? So how was the fight with that big fluke you caught today? Tough fight? You excited to win? You got to use that new rod? Good luck. Congratulations, Alexa.
For second place, biggest fish, we have Heather McDonald at 4 pounds and 9 ounces. And then in first place, we have at 5 pounds, 3 ounces, Betty Kennedy.
We're with Heather McDonald, Betty Kennedy. They've finished second and first, respectively, in the Fancy Fluke Women's Fluke Tournament. Tom Logan was their captain on the Fish Trap out of Fish On Charters, Watch Hill, Rhode Island. Heather, tell us about your fluke.
My fluke was a 4-pound.
Tough fight?
No. Got it up right
Really?
away. It was
Really?
easy to get up.
And you won some tackle, some of the rod there, nice.
Yes, I did. A beautiful pink reel and some tackle, $50 gift card for Diane's tackle, and a phone case.
Now, have you fished a long time?
5 years.
5 years. And Betty, you won. You had the biggest fluke.
Yes, I
How big
did.
was that?
5 pounds, 9 ounces. And I'm going to be 80 years old, and this is my first tournament that I've ever entered.
Congratulations.
Yes, and so I'm very excited, and so is my family. And I won this beautiful Daiwa reel and the top of the notch reel and rod and a $100 gift certificate and a box full of all kinds of fun things to play with.
First tournament, how often do you fish?
I fish all the time. I've fished since I've been in high school, but I mean, I fish in Florida because that's where my husband and I retired to, but he passed away 4 years ago. And Tom has been generous enough to take me on his boat to fish, so I'm very lucky there to have such good friends.
What'd you catch yours on?
I caught mine on, what did I catch mine on?
Jackpot digger jig.
Jackpot digger jig, right.
Very cool. Those made locally?
Yes, they are. Yes, they're made by, actually, Patrick Muley, who was my cousin, and he runs the business. So that's what we use.
And Tom, how were conditions out there today?
Well, it was foggy with about a half a mile visibility. We did go to Block Island, and there was, when we finally left Block Island earlier than expected, it was well over 12-foot seas. We snuck over to the east side of the island to kind of get out of the conditions, and just couldn't put anything together there. We had some fish in the boat, but nothing that we felt would qualify. So we ended up running back to Mesquamaket Beach, and we picked up the 2 winning fish there on the beach.
Nice size fish. Ladies, congratulations. You're going to come back for the next Fancy Fluke tournament?
Yes, we will.
Yes,
Awesome.
Hopefully nicer weather.
We can hope. Congratulations.
Thank
Thank you.
What's next?
What's next is a little break. We did our women's charter. We were involved with Fluke Puke. We did this tournament, and since day one, we've just been going. So we'll take a little break, a little maybe 2-week hiatus, and then we'll be back at it with our next women's charter on Middle Bake Sport Fishing on Wednesday, July 19th. And you'll see us at the Big Doug's fishing competition, and you'll see us as well at the TBO trifecta.
So you've got a lot coming up. It looked like that initial women's only charter on the Middle Bank, which is out of Bridgeport, was very well attended.
It was great. It was really phenomenal. We had women come from Long Island to come out and fish with us. We had women that we met while we were at the Northeast Hunting and Fishing Show. It's just really great to bring all these women out there. The Middle Bank has capacity for 70 anglers, so we can pretty much take all of you. And not to mention that we had a really good drift. A lot of us, pretty much the entire boat was using our fancy fluke rigs, and we threw keepers over the rails, and we had a couple nice black sea bass too.
Somebody wants to go out on that women's only charter on the Middle Bank. It's July 19th out of Bridgeport. What time?
5 to 9 p.m. and you can check out fancyfluke.com or middlebank.com for more details.
Stephanie, congratulations. Great
Thank you.
tournament today. It was great to see the kids. Great to see families. Just a wonderful event to get people fishing. Thanks for doing this. Thanks for all you've been doing.
Thank you.
We'll be back with more Yankee Fisherman presented by the Dock Shop right after this. School's out, the weather is hot, and the fish are biting. Whether you're heading to the beach or out on a boat, stop in at the Dock Shop before you go to fill your beach bag or tackle box with everything you'll need for fun in the sun. A new beach cover-up, some sunscreen, or just some bait, the Dock Shop has you covered from either location. 51 Tokenique Road, Darien, 609 Riverside Avenue, Westport. And yes, you heard that right. Bait is now available in Darien and Westport. The Dock Shop, 51 Tokenique Road, Darien, 609 Riverside Avenue, Westport. DockShop.com.
I can't believe it.
Well, Dad, you did it. You sold 160 cars. Ready to go back upstairs now?
I think it's time. I wonder how the boys are making out in their new office.
Not what I had in mind, Kyle. What, Dad?
Maybe we should retire. Right now, lease a 2017 Rogue S for only $139 a month.
Isn't it time you got Millerized?
A Better View Window Cleaning Plus has been cleaning glass all over Connecticut for over 20 years. They also specialize in cleaning chandeliers, mirrors, skylights, tiles, and will power wash anything that needs cleaning. They hold an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau and are fully insured and bonded. When you deal with the Better View, you're dealing with the best, not the rest. Call today for a free estimate, 203-284-8836, or visit them online, abetterviewcleaning.com.
At InSports Trumbull, the game is always on inside. Registration is now open for our fitness training programs for high school athletes. The InSports Performance Center is offering blast speed classes, athletic functional movement assessments, and both men's and women's elite speed and strength training. Our premier programs help bring athletes to the next level. Call 203-268-1214 for more information. Like and follow us on Facebook.
Want a new experience in car buying? No aggravation, no confrontation, just answers to all your questions. Scap Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. Car buying the way you want it to be. With one of the largest selections of new 2- and 4-door Jeep Wranglers available, we are Connecticut's Wrangler headquarters. Located in Fairfield, Connecticut, we're easy to get to. Just 2.5 miles off the Merritt Parkway, exit 44 via Route 58 South. Save thousands right now during the Drive and Discover event. Now through June 30th.
Welcome back to Yankee Fisherman, presented by the Dock Shop. This Thursday, June 29th, thanks to Jesse Roach. Thanks to Stephanie Ortiz and everybody up at the Fancy Fluke tournament. Diane Womack at Diane's. Everybody up there really made us feel at home. Was a great event. We've got a lot more to talk about in the coming weeks, but let's wrap it up and enjoy the 4th of July weekend. And just before we go, 1, be safe. 2, don't give anybody any reason for you to end up being publicized for being caught poaching. Massachusetts Environmental caught 3 different groups on 3 consecutive days poaching striped bass. So if you're out there, just obey the laws because they're there to protect our fishery. Enjoy Independence Day. Tight lines.